Hi, this is Naung Tun from the Guidance Group Medicine at the Dartmouth of New Hampshire. So today I'm excited to hear on digitalizing in patient with heart failure and regurgitation fraction from Dr. Amina Rakisheva, Associate Professor at the Medical University in Almaty. Hello, Amina. How are you?
Hi, Han. How are you doing? I'm great, and thank you very much for this conversation. I think it's very important, and especially in nowadays, because too much gossips and too much discussion is over this Digit HF trial. So I'm very much happy to be here.
Yeah, it's nice to hear from you. Yes, the Digit HF trial I see is one of the standout heart failure trial in the recent ESC Congress in 2025. Then is conducted in the modern era of the guideline-directed medical therapies, including the its inhibitor, RNA, beta blocker, and MRA. I want to know what motivated the Digit HF investigator to evaluate, digitalism in this new era of the modern GDMT for the heart failure. Yeah.
Well, Han, the original DIG trial was conducted decades ago. And with the background, the background heart failure therapy was limited to ACE inhibitors and diuretics. Currently, in contrast, the standard of care now are, expanded to beta blockers, MRAs, SGLT2 inhibitors, ARNI, and therefore it's very important to see probably that it will be different. That's why they really reevaluated and rethought to start the trial again. And one more thing that I forgot to tell, it's about cardiac devices too. So
Mhm.
this is something important why they really thought to reassess again their glycosides.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah. Can you please also share us about how does the digitalizins they differ pharmacologically from the Jelsins, and why might these difference be clinically significant? That's what we see in the DigitalACEF trial, and especially in patient in half-ref.
So the main difference is that digitoxin is lipophilic, which means that it's better absorption, it's better binding with the proteins, and also it's enterohepatic and elimination compared to detoxing. One more thing, which is also important, that the majority of patients with a HFrEF has reduced renal function, and that's why their additional enterohepatic elimination add some more value to this treatment. Yeah, this is one of the things that I think, in my opinion, it's make them different. And also, it's also very important that the low concentrations should be
Mhm.
also be very much looked forward.
Wow. That's an interesting one. Yeah. Could you please also explain about the inclusion criteria and the background use of the current age had heart failure therapies in, the including the GDMT, how, that may have the influence in these trial results?
Well, what is important to know that the DIGIT-HF trial enrolled patients with a high burden of a heart failure symptoms. I mean, more than 70% of them were with New York Heart Association class 3 to 4. And if we will compare to the landmark trials such as Paradigm, DAPA-HF, and EMPEROR Reduced, the majority of the patients that were included in these trials was a New York Heart Association class 2. So that which means that they had milder symptoms compared to the digit HF.
Mhm.
Another thing, what is relevant is that the background therapy, including once again the beta blockers, RNAs, device therapy, SGLT2 inhibitors, they also add value because their hospitalization and their death, the mortality rate were quite similar to these landmark trials, that
Mhm.
which mean that this GDMT therapy is already worked. So this is something makes that digitoxin played an add-on value to this therapy.
Cool. Wow, it's nice to know it. Yeah. And also, we found that the study showed other modest reductions in the all-cause death and hospitalization for worsening heart failure. How should the clinician interpret these benefits given in the limited statistical power?
This is a very tricky question, actually. Why? Because we really, as a clinicians, we should be very cautious with any interpretation of the data. First of all, because yes, that is absolutely true. There was a modest reduction over all-cause death and heart failure hospitalization, but at the same time, we cannot generalize this data on other glycosides. That's why we're really much looking forward for the decision trial with digoxin that is actually ongoing. But also that there the number of patients were fewer than it was planned originally, and also the study had some kind of limitations. Still, this study confirmed the primary hypothesis that digitoxin was superior to placebo for
Mhm.
deaths or first hospitalization and supporting that potential benefit for the patient with a heart failure.
That's good. Yeah. So I agree with you. Yeah, that's a point that yeah, we have to consider, when we, interpret the statistical, the power and how to implicate in the, the real world, the clinical setting. And did you know about any safety concerns or how, should patient be monitored if we prescribe these digitals?
Well, actually, there were some concerns about safety, but once again, as I already said about the plasma concentration of digitoxin. So, as we know that actually, the high concentration of glycosides can be affected by arrhythmias. Also, that actually is very dangerous for the patient with heart failure. But in this study, the DHF study showed us that actually within their simple dosing protocol, it was simple and it was quite safe. And actually, that also was safe when we compared, when we see the subgroup analysis. It
Mhm.
was true for females, for the patient with renal impairment. So it was quite safe. And even it was safe also for patients with a low blood pressure.
Mm. Right, yeah. So in your opinion, which patient subgroup in this trial such as those with the AFib or low blood pressure or any kidney impairment, how they stand to benefit the most from the digital therapy?
I'm absolutely agree with you. These patients that you already mentioned about patients with atrial fibrillation, with renal impairment and low blood pressure will be really with benefit with digitoxin because, as I already said, that digitoxin is, eliminated by intrahepatic elimination. And this made it quite safe for patients with renal impairment. It doesn't add any additional low blood pressuring, lowering of the blood pressure. So, but adding inotropic effect for the patient, so something which is good also for them. And with atrial fibrillation, we know that vagal lowering of a heart rate is also
Yeah.
important for this patient. And actually, I forgot to tell you that that is also was one of the additive benefit of the digitoxin. The parasympathetic system.
Yeah.
Reduction of a heart rate by
Right.
yes, by nervous vagus. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So that given that the findings cannot be generalized to other, the cardiac glycosides. So I'm curious to see how, decision trial with the job sense. So, and how, how might, the results and by the future heart failure guideline, the treatment. So what are your expectations, Amina? Yeah.
Well, I'm very cautious with every trial that actually we are looking forward because, the decision trial, we are really much looking forward for the decision trial. But at the same time, we should be very cautious again with this trial because since that digoxin is cleared by renal and actually which makes it a little bit toxic for the patient with renal impairment, and probably we need to more closely monitor the serum with with a concentration of digoxin in plasma that especially in CKD and females that makes me feel a little bit like, tricky to say something, some expectation. If the results will be safe and will show safe, the modest improvement in outcomes that probably gives an opportunity that the guidelines will reassess their glycosides in heart failure treatment. But at the same time, if the decision trial will be negative or neutral, it
Hmm.
will again, the limited the role of glycosides again just to symptoms or control over atrial fibrillation again. So that's why a little bit like tricky to say. And of course, we are pretty much looking forward for this trial, but it's a little bit very with a caution. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, so it's like, yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, so I did the Digital Age of Trial, so which provided very valuable insights into our knowledge on contemporary role of the heart digitizing in patient in half-ref patient who receive, the comprehensive GDMT. So I believe that it may help clarify, whether digitizing may offer additional benefit in, symptom control or hospitalization, and reduction in modern, the heart failure treatment landscape. Thank you, Amina, for your sharing very insightful talks, your expert opinion on this digital trial. Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Han. And actually, we can also have some kind of a series of discussion of different trials. I think it's quite interesting would be for everyone, because something that sometimes when we are reading the trials, when we're reading the papers, we are facing with challenges because we sometimes I think we need to discuss with someone else. So probably we also can have this in mind
Yeah.
for further discussion.
Cool. Right. Thank you,
Yeah.
Amina. Yeah. Good.
Okay.
Yeah. Have
Yeah.
a good day.
Bye.
Bye.